So we're going to have a look at breaking down the warm-up. The first warm-up movement is called imprint and release. This is a lovely movement for loosening out and mobilizing your lumbar spine. When we're doing this movement, we need to make sure that we're not over contracting the back of the legs, the hamstrings and the glutes. So remember to try and keep these relaxed while performing the movement. Using all the principles that we've practiced, we're going to start off lying on the mat in neutral. Feet and knees in line with the hips, neutral pelvis, neutral rib cage, shoulders and head, engaging the core and focusing on the breath. Lying down in the neutral position, we're going to take an inhale breath to prepare. As you exhale, we're very gently imprinting or lengthening the spine in towards the mat. Inhale to stay in this position, and then exhale, slowly releasing to neutral. Inhaling to prepare again in neutral, and exhale, gently imprinting the spine towards the mat. Inhale to stay in this position, and exhaling to release back to neutral. You would continue this around about 4 to 5 repetitions, and remember to avoid contracting the legs. Also avoid pushing down into the back and forcing the spine. Hip release is next. This is a great movement for mobility and stability at the same time. We're mobilizing through the hips, but we're also trying to stabilize the pelvis. So try and take this into account when you're doing this movement, that while you're moving one side of the body, the opposite side stays really steady and controlled. You also might find that you have the sensation or the feeling of clicks, which happens a lot to my clients. You might feel clicks around about the hip or the pelvis area. These should not be uncomfortable or painful. It would be a normal experience to feel, but what you could do is to make your range of movement slightly smaller so the movement isn't as wide. Starting off in the neutral position, we're going to take an inhale breath as you rotate the right knee out to the side, controlled and slowly. On the same breath, you're extending the leg out straight down on the mat. On the exhale breath, we're rotating your knee in towards the left-hand side of your body. Continue to slide the leg back in until you're in your starting position. Repeating again. Inhale, rotating the right knee to the side, extending out to straight leg. Rotate the knee towards the left side and bend the leg back in towards your starting position. Inhale, drop the knee to the right-hand side, extending the leg out straight. Rotating the knee towards the left and sliding the leg back in. Continuing on with the movement and the breath. As you're doing this movement, we want to be aware of the left-hand side of your body. You want to make sure that you don't feel the pelvis lifting or swaying side to side. And we also need to make sure that your left knee or your left leg is nice and sturdy and stable and is not swaying side to side. Once you finish the next repetition, we're going to hold this leg in position, and on the same leg, we're going to reverse. As you inhale, you slightly rotate your knee towards the left-hand side of your body and start to extend that right leg out straight. On the exhale breath, you're rotating your knee and the hip and the pelvis out to the right-hand side and slide the leg back into your bent leg position. Inhale to extend the leg out straight with a slight rotation towards the left. Exhale, rotating the knee and sliding the leg back into the starting position. So again, continuing as I continue to speak through the movement. Being aware that you're not pushing the left knee out of the way, keeping the left knee in line with your hip. The movement is coming around from the pelvis area, so make sure that you're rotating the whole leg, not just your knee and your ankle. Once you finish the next repetition, we're going to hold your leg into your starting position. We're going to repeat this on the opposite side. Inhale as you rotate the left knee to the side. Extend the leg out straight down on the mat. Exhale, slightly rotating the knee in towards the right-hand side and slide the leg back into your starting position. Inhale, rotate the leg to the left-hand side. Extend the leg out straight. Exhale, rotating the knee, coming back into your starting position. Continuing on a few repetitions. Just remember while you're doing the movements in the warm-up, you want to still maintain the neutral position on the pelvis, the connection with the core, and the breathing. And now we're going to change direction. Inhale, slightly rotate your left knee towards the right-hand side of your body, extending the leg out straight. Exhale, rotate the knee to the left-hand side and slide the leg back in again. Inhale to begin, extending the leg out straight. Exhaling to rotate the knee to the left and slide the leg back in again. Inhale to extend the leg out straight. Exhale, rotate the knee to the side and slide the leg back in again. One more time. Inhale to extend the leg out straight. Exhaling to turn the knee to the left and slide the leg back in again. So make sure you do even amounts of repetitions on both legs in both directions, aiming again for around about 4 to 5 repetitions on each leg in each direction. And remember that it's a normal sensation to do feel those clicks around the hips and the pelvis area, but you can make your movement slightly less rotation to avoid these clicks from happening. Spinal rotation is next. Spinal rotation is done in tabletop, so just remember, as we were practicing with the principles earlier on, you can use your cushion underneath your lower back, which will help to take any tension away from the lower back and from the legs as well. If you have any major conditions with your back or injuries, such as bulging discs, this one should be avoided. If you're unsure, please do the movement with your feet down on the mat. So just skip ahead on the video for the demonstration with your feet down. Spinal rotation is a really good movement for mobilizing your thoracic spine, which is the mid area of your back. We're also strengthening your obliques, which is the muscles along the sides of the abdominals, and we're helping to strengthen the legs. You will feel the legs quite a bit on this one. So starting off in your neutral position, we're going to imprint your spine gently down in towards the mat, taking the legs up one at a time into tabletop position. Remember why we were using the imprint position. Try and remember we were using this position because we're taking the imaginary pillars away from the mat. So we're starting off in the tabletop position. Try and keep your head and your shoulders completely relaxed. These do not move at all during the movement. They stay on the mat, your head stays centered, and try and relax your arms down by your sides. We're going to inhale to prepare in the center, squeezing the legs gently together. As you exhale, we're rotating the legs to the side. We're rotating through your thoracic spine and taking an inhale breath to stay in this position. As you exhale, using your oblique muscles along the sides of your abdominals, we're going to gently rotate the spine back in towards your centered position, still maintaining the imprint, keeping the head and the shoulders relaxed. Inhale to prepare. On the exhale breath, we're going to repeat on the opposite side, rotating through the thoracic area of the spine. Inhale to stay in the rotation, and then exhale, coming back around to the center slowly. Inhale in the center, keeping imprint. Exhale, rotating the legs to one side. Inhale to stay in this position, and exhale, rotating back into the center. So I want you to continue on with this movement. As you're doing the movement, remember to try and relax your head and your shoulders. There's no rotation in the upper part of the spine, so the neck and the shoulders stay down relaxed in this position all the time. We also want to try and keep the tabletop position. When you rotate the legs to the side, try to avoid letting your legs completely drop down towards the mat. Don't let your feet drop down towards the legs. Keep your feet raised in that tabletop position. Avoid over-rotating the movement. This will put extra strain on the spine, and you will also feel like you're going to fall over to the side. So go to your own limitations. The movement should be comfortable but challenging at the same time. One more repetition, and then we're going to come into the center slowly. Remember to release one leg down at a time. One leg comes down, second leg comes down, and then just gently allowing the spine to release to neutral. So this one should feel quite challenging. It's not an easy movement to perform. And remember to avoid doing this movement if you're unsure or if you have any back injuries or conditions such as bulging discs. The next movement or variation of the spinal rotation is slightly easier. We can do this with your feet down on the mat. You shouldn't need any cushion underneath your lower back on this one. So starting off in neutral, we're going to keep the 2 feet and the knees together. Keeping neutral, we inhale to prepare. And as you exhale, slowly and gently rotating your knees to one side. Keeping the head and the shoulders relaxed, we're going to inhale to stay. And exhale slowly and controlled, rotating the spine and the legs back into your neutral position. Inhaling to prepare. Exhale, rotating the knees and the thoracic spine to the opposite side. Inhale to stay in this position. And exhale, drawing the legs and the spine back to your starting position. Continuing on with this movement. As I explained to you before, don't get caught up on the breathing. If you do forget the breathing sequence, it's okay. Just make sure that you focus on a good controlled technique. Making sure that when you're rotating the legs, that you keep a strong leg position. You avoid the legs from hanging. What you could do is to use something like a small cushion or rolled up towel in between your knees, and this will help you to engage those inner thigh muscles, the adductor muscles, a little bit more to help control the movement. Once you get back into the center, we're going to release the pelvis, releasing the legs open to neutral position and ready for the next movement. You would repeat this movement around about 4 repetitions on each side. So it would be one side for 4 and the opposite side for 4, but alternating sides. If it's too challenging, just reduce your range of movement and reduce your repetition. Hip rolls are next. Hip rolls are a really lovely movement to help mobilize your lumbar spine. It's also a great stability exercise because we're trying to keep both sides of your pelvis in line while we're doing this one. And it's also great for strengthening the hamstrings and the glutes, which is the back of your legs, and your bum muscles. When you're doing this movement, if you have got anything underneath your head, make sure you take this away as it will put extra pressure on your neck. Also make sure that you have your 2 feet close to the back of your legs, as if your legs are too far away from you, it may put pressure on your back. Lying down in your neutral position, making sure that you have the pressure points of your feet pressing down into your mat. We're going to take an inhale breath to prepare. As you exhale, we're gently imprinting the spine and continue the imprint to articulate your spine one vertebrae at a time all the way up to the ceiling. When the hips are up to the ceiling, we're trying to create a straight line from your knees down to the hips, down to the shoulders. Holding this position as you inhale. As you exhale, we're going to articulate or roll the spine back down towards the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Breathing in at the bottom. Exhale, imprinting the spine and rolling the vertebrae up to the ceiling one at a time. Taking an inhale breath at the top and exhale, rolling the spine down slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Continuing on with this movement, I'm going to go through a few teaching points. As you're doing the movement, if you forget the breath, again, don't worry about the breathing sequence. We want a slow, controlled, and safe movement. If you find that the legs are a little bit weak, what you could do is to use your towel or a spare cushion in between your knees just to gently keep those legs together. Try and avoid squeezing the cushion. We don't want to over contract the legs. It's just a gentle, controlled contraction on the leg. As you lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, we want to make sure that both sides of your pelvis stay in line and the same as they come down slowly to the mat. If you've any weakness in the pelvis or rotation in the spine, you might find that one hip touches the mat before the opposite hip, and this is what we're trying to be aware of. Pressing down into the pressure points of your feet while you're doing this one. A lot of people come off onto the edge of the toes or the heels, so try and keep your feet down. Another way of visualizing this movement sometimes helps people would be to visualize double-sided sticky tape sticking your spine to the mat. As you inhale, we prepare, and as you exhale, start to unpeel or unstick the spine from the lower part of the spine off the mat. Then you pull off the middle part of the spine and then the upper part of the spine, leaving only the head and the shoulders sticking on the mat. And as you're rolling the spine back down, you stick the upper part of the spine down first, then the middle part of the spine, and then roll the lumbar or lower part of the spine to the mat, finishing off in neutral. We're aiming to do around about 5 repetitions on this one, or you can do more because it's a really nice movement to perform to help to loosen and to strengthen the spine at the same time. Protraction and retraction of the scapula is next. This is a great mobility movement for your shoulders or your scapula. But while you are performing the movement, you want to make sure that you avoid straining the neck and the shoulders, overstretching and changing the position of your pelvis and rib cage. If you have taken away a pillow from your head, please return the pillow or the towel back underneath your neck or your head if you need to use it. Lying down in your neutral position, we're going to reach the two arms up towards the direction of the ceiling with your palms facing in towards each other. As you inhale, we're going to reach the two arms up towards the direction of the ceiling as if you're trying to reach for something up on the ceiling. And as you exhale, reverse the movement or retract by drawing the shoulder blades or the scapula together at the back. Inhale, reach the two arms up towards the ceiling, protracting the scapula, and exhale, retract the scapula down towards the direction of the mat. So we're going to continue this movement, and I'm going to go through a few more teaching points on the movements. On the protraction, as you're reaching the arms up towards the ceiling, you want to avoid pulling the whole spine off the mat, creating the lift on the back. So try and keep your neck and the back of your shoulder blades relaxed, but do feel that stretching sensation across the back of your shoulder blade area. As you retract the shoulder blades down, try and avoid bending your elbows. The movement is coming through the scapula or the shoulders, so we need to draw the shoulder blades or visualize them closing together at the back. Also, when you're bringing the shoulder blades down into retraction, try and avoid pushing your rib cage up towards the ceiling, which is also going to lift your back off the mat. So smaller movements and less contraction. It's a controlled movement. So again, inhale, reaching the two arms up towards the ceiling without pushing the spine down and without pulling on the neck. And exhale, without bending the elbows, draw or close the shoulder blades gently together at the back without pushing the ribs and the pelvis to the ceiling. Inhale, reaching or protracting the arms to the ceiling, and exhale, drawing the shoulders back. And just a reminder, while we're doing all of the movements in the warm-up, we want to have the connection with the core, the neutral pelvis if it's being used in the movement, and focusing on the breath. Aiming for around about 5 to 10 repetitions on this one, but again, just avoid tensing up the neck and the shoulders. Keep the shoulders relaxed while you're doing this movement. Head nods or chin tilts. This is a great one for mobilizing your cervical spine or around the neck area. We just want to make sure though that you don't lift your head off the mat when you're doing this one. Always keep your head totally relaxed, and it's a very, very gentle movement, more of a lengthening effect or feeling in the back of the neck. So while we're lying down on the mat, again maintaining your neutral position, the connection with the core, and continuing with the breath. Very gently as you inhale, you drawing the head into a head nod position, or drawing the chin slightly in and down to look towards the direction of the top of your knees. Exhale, start to return the head back up to your starting position, making sure when you bring your head up to your starting position that you don't look back behind you. So you shouldn't see the wall behind you, looking back up towards the direction of the ceiling. Inhale, lengthening down into the back of the neck, and exhale, looking towards the ceiling. So you're going to continue on this for about 5 to 10 repetitions. Remember not to lift your head off the mat. As you draw your chin down into the head nod position, we want to avoid flaring your rib cage. So try not to push your ribs towards the direction of the ceiling when you draw the chin down. Don't force your chin down into your neck. It's a very gentle movement. We want to avoid causing any strain. Elevation and depression of your scapula or your shoulder blades. Keep lying down in neutral position, keeping the towel if you're using it underneath your head, arms down by your sides, palms facing downwards. We're going to inhale and draw the two shoulders up towards the direction of your ears. And as you exhale, sliding the two hands down towards the direction of your feet. Inhale, elevate the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale, sliding the hands down towards your feet. Continuing on in your own time. While you're doing this, you want to make sure that when you bring your shoulders to your ears that you're not causing extra tension in the neck. When you reach the hands down towards your feet, you want to make sure that you're not creating too much of a stretch and don't round your shoulders. So keep your chest nice and open. 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders up to the ears. And exhale, hands down towards your feet. 1 more time. Inhale, shoulders towards the ears. And exhale, hands down towards your feet. And then relax your shoulders back to neutral.